Well, welcome. We're hearing testimonies of Jesus healing people. And if you have some nerve damage and if you've been struggling in God's healing, uh, Kevin, you've had some nerve damage that Jesus healed. Could you tell
Boy.
us your story?
Oh my, yes. First, this was in 1985. April is when I started noticing my feet were going numb. And it's kind of like when you lay on your arm and your arm goes numb and it's heavy or something. And it goes away and the blood starts back in. But my feet never came back, and you'd stomp on the floor. Oh man, there's something wrong. Before I know it, the left leg, it had the nerve was damaged, was going up my leg. It just got above the ankle and wasn't sure what to do. Told my mom about it, and she says, well, you don't have health care, you don't have a job, and you don't have money, so how are you going to pay for this? And because I wasn't on my mom's health care plan anymore, I was 29. And so I said, I don't know. They took off for a wedding in was May 31st, and I told them I can't go because I can't walk. The numbness had worked itself up to the knee, and I said, you just go, I'll just stay at home. Well, that night, 5 tornadoes came through Butler County, and they got caught in that, and they parked somewhere along the road and let damage go by, and then they did come home. And I said, Mom, I need to do something. This has gotten really bad. Then a phone call came from me from a friend, Barry. He says, Kevin, when if you can come and help me clean up some trees in my mom's backyard? And I said, that's not possible. I can't walk. He goes, what's wrong? I says, my left leg has gone numb from the feet up to the knee. The other one's just numb around the ankle. I don't know what's going on. He said, why don't you go in the hospital? I said, I don't have health care. I don't have money. I don't have a job. He said, well, you're a veteran. Why don't you go in the VA, see if they'll take you? So I did. I went in June 3rd. And there they were treating me for a sciatic nerve damage. And I said, I don't have pain. In fact, I wish I had something, that I could feel, touch.
You couldn't feel anything.
No, there was no pain. It was just working its way. They called it a flesh. No, it was a nerve eating disorder. And it says it starts in your feet. And I still today trying to find out what it was called. They didn't tell me. The damage starts in people's feet, and it works its way up your body until it gets into the vitals, and it takes them over, wiping out kidneys, whatever. Then you just pass away naturally because you don't have any function of your innards, But that's
that sounds scary.
Yeah, it sure was. I mean, I can look back on it and I can be a happy face, but then I wasn't a real happy face. It was all confusion, worry, concern, what's happening. I was like in the dark, blinded by something I wasn't aware of. I've gotten injuries playing football, but they get well. This wasn't getting well. It was only getting worse. So the VA said, yeah, we'll take you. So they started treating me for a sciatic nerve.
Would you call that an answer to prayer?
I would say so. You never know where God puts you for a purpose and a reason. So I like the idea God's plan is best, God's path is best, and stop complaining,
Oh, that's hard.
Yeah, I know it really is, especially when you're going through what I was going through. I was really concerned, and I've never gone through something like this before. Usually, like I say, you get a cut, it heals. This wasn't healing. And they did all kinds of treatments for eat this pill, took blood samples, do physical therapy on different apparatuses they had in their gym. And nothing was helping. In fact, the nerve damage got up into my thighs. One day, 2 doctors came in. They were holding their clipboards. And I said, what's up? And he goes, we're going to send you home. Why would you send me home? I'm numb, clear up. It's only gotten worse, sir. They go, we know. And I said, well, what's wrong? And they just looked at each other. And I knew something was up. Like, they didn't want to tell me what I had. I was 29 years old. I just lay back on my bed, pack and go home tomorrow. Well, I must say, cried myself to sleep because I got up in the morning and I slid off my bed to its edge and reached over and grabbed my crutches and got them underneath me. And I went to stand up off the bed and the floor was cold. The floor is cold? I haven't felt the floor in 3 months, you know. That was my dreaming. So I stepped away from the bed and was walking with my crutches out like this, just say, no, I can feel the floor is cold. I threw the crutches on the bed and I ran out into the halls, up and down the halls. I was scheming and praising God.
Praise
Yes.
the Lord.
Oh,
Yes,
praise God. I went all the way downstairs till I went down to see John, the physical therapist. He was a Christian, by the way. A really nice fella. And he goes, hey, how you doing this morning? And I said, very well. He goes, where's your crutches? And I said, I don't need them. He goes, huh? He says, I think everything's good. He says, well, hop up on the table. So I did. I hopped right on top of his thing. He says, well, why don't you sit down? And so he sat there and did all this push, pull, pinch stuff. And he says, Kevin, I think you're healed. I said, I know I am. So I got up off his table and ran through the hall, still screaming and praising God. I come up to the nurse's station. And I said, when the doctors come in, send them down to my room. I want to have a talk with them. And I was getting ready to run away. He says, are you the one that's making all this noise this morning? Yes, I am. And I ran down the hall praising God and went to my room. I got dressed and ready to go. The first person that came through the door was my Reverend Ralph Link.
Mm.
He came in and was, hey, I see you're dressed to go. And I said, yeah, I'm ready to go. He says, well, how you feeling? I said, watch. And I ran right past him and I booked down the hall and he came out running after me. Well, I did about face and we kind of did a belly slam and run into each other. He says, Kevin, you've been healed. I said, yes, can you believe it? He says, yeah, we've been praying. Oh.
We've been praying.
Yeah, that's right. We've been praying. And so we walked back to the room. And we were talking a bit, and then my parents came in, and I did the same thing. And they were overwhelmed with joy, you know. They couldn't believe it. So we got to talking a little bit, and Ralph says, would you like to do a testimony? We're having church in the park. And I said, oh, yeah, I would love to do that. So I did a testimony for the church there. The doctors came in probably a half hour later, and they came in with their clipboards clutched to their chest again. And they we hear you running up and down the hall. I said, yes. I get off the bed and ran out the door and and they stepped out and they're going, the eyes wide open, you know. I come back and I walked into the room and they said, wow, why don't you have a seat on your bed there? And so they did the same thing, John, push, pull, you know, bend, does this hurt, this, you know, can you feel it? Yes, sir, yes, sir. Well, they stood back and they didn't know what to think. All I know is they wrote something down on their clipboard. Wonder what that could have been. Well, they asked me to stay for the next week, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, to come back in, and we're going to check you out. And they asked a lot of questions. They, did blood samples again and just everything. They're trying to figure out how this happened. Every time they asked the question, I said, the Lord healed me. Well, no, we need to I said, put down the Lord healed me. They wouldn't. I saw him write something down. I said, maybe he wrote that. So when he left his clipboard. So I kind of pivoted around. I said, patient seems to improved. Yeah, I'll say. I'm improved. So I left there that day as happy as a person you could ever see. They told me that this disease is so rare. 1 in a million people get this disease in a year's time. Back in 1985, there was 300 million people in the world, and there was then 300 of us that had this disease. I can say there's one I know who's healed.
Amen. You know, I just, as we conclude this interview, I just want to encourage Christians who are praying. People were praying from April and May and June for Kevin, and even the church is having prayer meeting. And sometimes when we go to prayer meeting and we think nothing's happening, the Lord hears. and the Lord answers. Jesus is our healer.
Yes.
And as we go to him, I pray that the Lord will heal you and that he would build your faith. May the Lord bless you today.
Amen.